Time now for the David Forst Show right here on A's Cast Live and A's Cast. David, it's great to have you on once again. And we got the scouting report that you were in Midland. You got to see Leo De Vries. You even got to throw him a little BP.
I did. I got to see Leo in person finally for the first time. I talked to him when we made the deal, but got there to see a lot of the guys. It's fun to go out to Midland and see the players in person, get to catch up with the staff, and I usually do get to throw to a group of BP there, and Leo was in my group on Wednesday, so it was nice to meet him finally.
So when you first get to talk to him, and obviously he's a very confident kid, he's very mature at 18 years old for what he's been through to get here and play professionally at such a young age. What first impressions? What was it like?
We had a good conversation, obviously using a translator. Juan Delonay, who's the hitting coach there in Midland, has been with us for a long time, and Delo and I are close, so we're able to use Juan to translate and just talk to Leo about his time in the organization so far. He's had a little left shoulder issue. It gave us an opportunity to talk about things he needs to do to keep his body healthy and stay on the field, but then also just let him know our expectations for him for the rest of this year and the off season. I know he's thinking about playing winter ball in the Dominican, and just how we see his path going forward. So we had a good conversation.
There's no question this kid's a go-getter.
Yeah, no, he's as talented as he is a hard worker. And I mentioned to him that how much we were impressed by that first day we traded for him. He immediately got in his car, drove to Lansing because he wanted to be in the lineup that night. I told him that we all took notice of that. And also just the fact that every coach who's been with him so far in our system has talked about how he asks questions, he wants to learn, all the things you'd really hope for from a young player.
When you talk about greatness, because we're kind of getting into this, heading towards the playoffs. Some teams are leaking oil, and everybody's like, "Oh, they'll just turn it on." But when you truly talk about the all-time greats, right? And the guy that came to my mind was like Michael Jordan. Like Michael Jordan's pilot light never went out. That pilot light was always on. He never. So it's like the great ones, and we're kind of seeing this from Leo, is that he's game on all the time.
Yeah, I think you need to love to compete. And you need to want to win all the time. I think we see it from Nick Kurtz when he's out there on a daily basis. I think you see every at bat that Nick takes is serious. He had the homer down 3-0 the other day and got fired up and trying to get the team back in the game. So no, you're right. I think guys who excel at this level or anything close to it are the guys who really have that competitive fire.
Talk us through Henry Bolte. You know how I'm big on him, the second-round pick out of Palo Alto High School. Surgery on his wrist done for the year. How's Henry doing?
We've known Henry's going to need this for a while. In fact, he went to a doctor down at Stanford last offseason, had an injection that got him through the first half of the season. He had another injection at the All-Star break. So we've known for a little while that he had to get this taken care of. It should be a pretty easy cleanup, but played with a small tear in his wrist all year, had a great year between AA and AAA, and feeling really good about him getting healthy this offseason and coming to spring training ready next year.
He's built like a free safety. He looks like he's 12 years old, but he's built like a free safety. He's like a man child. I mean, could you see him roaming the outfield in Sacramento next year?
Yeah, for sure. I think, we talk about AA and AAA guys always being part of the conversation, and he really hit the ground running when he got to Vegas and got some time in AAA, playing a really good outfield, hitting the ball hard. So he, needs some more time at AAA, but he's certainly part of our conversation going forward.
So we've all been dazzled by Luis Morales. That leads me to Gage Jump. What do you think of his year and 2026?
Yeah, Gage was another guy I got a chance to spend some time with in Midland the last few days. I saw him pitch Tuesday night. Wasn't his best outing, but we talked about his ability to pitch all the way through September in his first full season, and what an important accomplishment that will be, because these guys coming out of college, it's a different schedule for them pitching, sometimes every fifth day, every sixth day, as opposed to once a week in college. And we did back Gage off a little bit during the summer, the same way we did with Luis, in order to hit sort of an innings mark, but he's, his stuff is good. He's feeling strong. He's definitely got at least one start lined up for the Midland playoff team. And, who knows if they go to the second round or if Vegas needs some help during the playoffs. So this was an important month for Gage, just to see how his body felt, finish strong, and obviously really put himself on the map this year to be in consideration for 2026.
Martin Gallegos recently did an article on Junior Perez, and when I'm reading it, and it says Jorge Mateo deal in 2020. I was like, what? What? I don't even remember. I don't even remember. Like, that was a while ago. All of a sudden, this Perez kid is not a kid anymore, and he's doing well, but there's that free agency if you've been in a system. Talk us through that, and how do you handle Junior Perez?
Yeah, I mean, Junior's a guy who's had this talent all along since the moment we traded for him, got in the system, has shown flashes, and obviously never really put it together the way he has the last 100 or so plate appearances in AAA. But the staff has always raved about Junior, his athleticism, his ability to go get it in center field, and he's finally breaking out with the bat. But to your point, like a guy we need to make a decision on here coming up soon as a potential minor league free agent, someone who we definitely like to re-sign and have here, who, I think could be in our conversation. He's only 23 years old still, play at 24 next year, was a baby when we traded for him, from the Padres back in 2020, and really opened up a lot of eyes with the way he swung the bat the last month.
That leads me to think about, in your job, the word patience has to be there. Right? When you're especially when you're dealing with these international kids that get signed at 16, 17, 18 years old, they don't have the normal high school into the minors or high school to college to the minors. Just talk about, with these prospects and these kids who are super talented, they just need time. Talk about how you and everybody, you got to have patience.
There's no doubt. And yeah, I think you and I have talked about this in the past. There's so much sort of emphasis, and there's such a spotlight right now on the guys like Kurtz and Jacob who get here quickly, come right out of the draft, that you sometimes forget that that's not the norm. It's not normal for these guys to, fly right through the minor leagues. This is it's a tough game. There's a lot of skills that need to be honed as you come through the system. And it's a lot more normal for guys to take a few years to figure things out. And you do have to have patience. I mean, I think Junior's a little bit of an extreme circumstance, a guy who's been at every level, but you look up and down the system, and even on our big league club right now, guys who took a few years to get to where, I mean, Lawrence is the guy we've talked about probably the most over the past couple of years, as someone who needed to go through that journey and get to where he is now. But yeah, this is a game of patience in a lot of ways. And there are a lot of guys in the system who you need to give them their time, give them the reps, whether it's, innings on the mound, plate appearances, whatever it is, give them time to get to where they can, contribute in the big leagues.
And speaking of patience with the big club, makes me think of two guys. It makes me think of Gage Bleday and Zach Gelof. It's just, Gelof just had 20 home runs, 43 RBIs, which was incredible. Zach Gelof not long ago looked like the best young guy that you got. Then you look at injuries and maybe some swing changes with some coaches away from the organization, some things go on and kind of spiral on you. Just talk about having patience with guys like Gelof and Gage Bleday.
Yeah, development and progress. It's not a straight line. There are ups and downs. We've talked about guys going back to AAA to kind of get their feet under them. Both those guys obviously did it this year. And the important thing is we've seen both guys contribute in the big leagues. JJ had an unbelievable season last year. What Zach did when he first came up, you cannot deny the talent that is there. We still, there are times like Monday where we see the ball jump off of his bat and know what he's capable of. So I will admit, it's harder to have patience at the big league level than it is other places. And I think Mark in particular has done a really good job of stressing that to the coaching staff, of being gentle with the players and understanding they need time. But both those guys are going to continue to get opportunities here the last month of the season. So we kind of have a sense of where we are going into the offseason.
I know I got to generate a lot of content, make stuff up every single day. My latest one was Luis inspiring Luis, Morales to Severino. And this Morales kid, it's just, I love obviously you love the velocity, but I love how that ball gets behind him, behind that right leg. He's hiding it, and it just gets up on guys. And then just his ability to really have feel with the sweeper changeup. I mean, this is something really. I mean, you guys have been seeing it. We're now. It's like you let the animal out of the cage. We're now getting to really see it. I mean, David, he is something super special.
Yeah, he is. And I don't think you're making up the Luis thing. I think part of the reason, we wanted Severino in the first place was because of the leadership he could bring to the whole group, but particularly to some of our young Latin players. And we've really seen that this season. Severino's done a great job. But right now, there are all the superlatives for Morales are certainly earned. And in fact, some of the guys I talked to in Midland who had him earlier in the year are so happy and saw what he was capable of. But look, you talk to Emo about this guy and he'll tell you about the work ethic, about his ability to make adjustments and take instruction. I mean, even from the time that he got here, they've made adjustments with how he breaks his hands. To your point, how he hides the ball, there's clearly deception there. But it's been great to watch. Such a huge win for our international group who put in a lot of time signing Luis Morales. When he was in Mexico, I mean, we sent everybody down there from medical to strength to work this guy out, make sure we took care of him right up until the time we could sign him and get him into the States. A long journey for Morales to get to the big leagues, but man, it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, he is something special, and just the ability just to dominate, and he's doing it so early. When we talk about goals with 21 games left, do you look at this and say, okay, don't want to finish in last place, take care of the Angels this weekend, and let the Halos finish in last place? That as a goal also could be a goal. Finish 500 or better on the road this year. You're almost there.
Yeah, I think we look at all those things. I mean, look, ultimately the record is what it is, and it needs to be better going forward. But you look at everything from, staying out of last place to winning more games than last year to what you said, the 500 record on the road. I mean, again, we're not taking sort of moral victories out of this season because we're not as good as we hoped. But there are things to build on, individuals as a team. And you said 21 more games. We'd like to finish strong with some momentum and take that into the offseason.
Let's end on this. It's not fair that Denzel Clarke got hurt. Like he started doing these things, and you're like, I want to see this every day, and then all of a sudden it's gone. It's like, what? How is he doing?
I think we still have hopes for both Denzel and Muntz to get back before the end of the season. Obviously, we're running out of days here. Both guys are rehabbing every day back in Sacramento and making progress, but unfortunately, Denzel re-injured himself when he went out for a rehab assignment, and was close to being back. And these muscle injuries just take time. So it'd be nice, we get a little selfish and greedy and want to see him back out there that last week. And frankly, we've had some guys who've been able to build on that. We saw it with JJ at the end of 23, with Tyler coming back at the end of 24. Getting back at the end of the season really does send a good message, and gives these guys a little bit of self-confidence going in the offseason. So we're going to keep working on that going into these last few weeks.
In all your time looking at players, have you ever seen anyone with Denzel Clarke's skill set?
No, he's maybe one of one as far as the size, the athleticism, just the closing speed in the outfield. Obviously, we've seen some really good center fielders. The guy sitting in the manager's office was a pretty good center fielder himself. But yeah, as far as just the sort of unique talents and body and things, Denzel is different from just about everyone.
Great stuff as always, David. We truly appreciate it. Have a good weekend. We'll see you back up in Sacramento.
All right, Tony. See you in a few days.